dramatic.
I just started the stream.
He showed me what to do in the last 2 minutes. We're good. You can go.
Yeah, man, I was just dragging today. Man.
Me too. I stayed up really late. The family and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Really late. I'm glad.
I just couldn't sleep. I was tired, but I just couldn't.
When we start here in just a couple minutes, if you could grab a seat, we're trying to make sure we have enough seats
Just
for
your water.
everybody before we split up.
Yes, that was
So don't mind fellowshipping, keep on fellowshipping, but if you could go ahead and find a seat so we can see.
No. But if I go too high, I get the feedback. So I gotta be careful. Because they're deaf. It depends on the different microphones and everything if it's on, so I have to be very careful.
I noticed you got almost maxed out.
I do. On the singing ones, I have to put them all the way up here. They're almost always maxed out.
And the other side, too.
Especially with your daughters.
That's because I got on
Just
there.
hold it down, right? Yeah, I'll adjust it, but hold it up.
Hope you have a wonderful day today. Page number 56, and we all get together. Page number 56.
I don't know if the microphone was picking you up. And His grace in the mansions bright and blessed will prepare for us a place. Because I really don't need to watch this. What a day of rejoicing that will be when we all see Jesus. We'll sing and shout the victory. While we walk the pilgrim pathway, clouds will overspread the sky. But when traveling days are over, not a shadow, not a sign. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Let us then be true and faithful, trusting, serving every day. Just one glimpse of Him in glory will the toils of life repay. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Onward to the prize before us, soon His beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open, we shall tread the streets of gold. When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory.
And this morning, that will be when Christ returns, page number 74 to page 74. Christ returns. Nobody sneezed today, that's all we got. Good to see everybody. Amen. Page 74, Christ returns.
excited to be here?
Yeah.
Is anybody excited about going to heaven?
Yeah.
Amen? All right, I mean, maybe not today, I understand. But I'm singing this song and I'm watching y'all, and y'all aren't near as excited about as I am. I just happened to notice that. Listen to the words as you sing on that second verse.
Here we go.
About that, you know, as that chorus says at the beginning, "Oh Lord Jesus, how long till we shout the glad song?" Amen. Looking forward to that. He could come today, I would be perfectly fine with that. He could come in the next minute, and I would be perfectly fine with that. You know, it's just I think about him coming and think about that last verse talking about being caught up. Could you imagine that? Have you ever stopped and just thought about being caught up? Have you ever wanted to fly? Amen. Being caught up together with him in the sky. What an awesome, awesome song. I'm so glad that everybody's here today. Thank you, moms, for being here today. You are definitely our honored guests. We're so privileged that you chose to be here on Mother's Day, a day that we want to honor you. And thank you for all that you do. We have several visitors here today. We're so glad that you're here as well. Do ask, I know things are different, the way that we're seating, the way we're having to do things. It is so hard not to shake hands. Anybody else having that problem? It's just do it. Just pull it right back in. You know, it's kind of hard. So we're doing things just a little bit different. We're spacing everybody the way that we should be doing and things like that. And one thing that I do want to ask is the songbook that you are using. If you would leave it in the pew after the service, we're going to make sure that we can spray some Nixol on everything, and apparently Nixol either kills everything or heals everything. I don't understand it, but that's the way that it works. I have a cut, and it started getting infected, and it was almost totally closed up, and I sprayed Nixol on it, and it healed it. It was a miracle. And yet it's supposed to kill the corona. I don't even understand it, but we're going to spray everything with it because that's what we've been told. So we're going to do that. Again, so glad that everybody is here today. Brother Darren Myers, it's good to have you and your family here. Could you ask the Lord to be with us today?
Well, we certainly are thankful for your many blessings. We marvel at life and your creation, Lord, our bodies and how complicated they are and all that is going on that you're aware of every moment that we just take for granted. We thank you for our spirit and spiritual life that we have through Christ. Thank you for the hope of the resurrection and the second coming. Lord, we just rejoice today in this season of the year, spring, and we thank you for this day that we focus on others and what an amazing gift that
thank you for this beautiful day today, on Mother's Day. And hopefully you have sunshine in your soul. Page 209, page 209.
There is sunshine in my soul today, more glorious and bright than glows in any earthly sky. For Jesus is my light. Oh, the sunshine, blessed sunshine, when the peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in the soul. There is music in my soul today, a carol to the King, and Jesus listening to hear the songs I cannot sing. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, when the peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in the soul. There's springtime in my soul today, for when the Lord is near, the dove of peace sings in my heart, the flowers of grace appear. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, when the peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in the soul. There's gladness in my soul today, and hope and praise and love, for blessings which he gives me now, for joys laid up above. Oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, when the peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in the soul.
And let's stand again, turn to page 215. Heaven came down, and glory filled my soul. Page 215. Thank you for being right in church today. It was exciting. I couldn't remember this morning. I woke up and I thought, I can't remember which suit coat I wore last night.
preaching about that.
Did you bring your suit for me? I thought it's been 2 months and no
I got a shoulder to behind.
you know,
Wonderful, wonderful day, day I will never forget. And Christ under in darkness away, Jesus my Savior I met. Oh, what a tender, compassionate friend, he met the need of my heart. Shadows dispelling with joy and telling, he made all the darkness depart.
singing.
Amen. Now you're singing like folks that hadn't been able to sing in a while. That was good. Amen. Appreciate that. Very good singing. We could have a couple of ushers. We'll take a good Sunday morning offering. I mentioned this on Wednesday night. I'm so thankful for Faith Baptist Church and for the faithful people that participated in the services in every way that they possibly could, and even in giving. It's just amazing that the Lord continues to work on people's hearts through the time that our church has gone through. Now we're getting ready just for things to get back to normal. Well, almost normal, but normal is coming very soon, and I'm excited about that and thankful for that. Brother Jerry, could you ask the Lord to bless him on offering, please?
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank the Lord for this opportunity that we can meet in your house once again, Lord. Lord, I just thank you so much for all the work and labor that went into your house. And Lord, I pray now, Jesus, be with our pastor, protect him, Lord. And Lord, I pray now you hide him behind the cross. And Lord, preach to us the message that we need to hear. Pray now, Jesus, be with this offering, with the gift of the will of the giver. I pray in Christ's name. Amen.
Proverbs 31, we'll start reading in verse number 25. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up, and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Thank you. You may be seated.
Oh yeah, because of the camera. I don't know if we need to do the piano. I think he was wanting to do one, seeing how much the piano picked up with just the one microphone.
In Proverbs 31, it's a familiar passage, especially when it comes to Mother's Day. You've probably heard the majority of Mother's Days preached out of Proverbs 31. There's so much in here that could be preached on. But as you look at the mother and what the mother does in this passage, the woman, the wife, it's a reminder to me of how God has blessed me, and how God has given me just a wonderful, godly mom, and also that God has given me a wife that would be the mother to my children. That is a godly woman, and I'm thankful for that. Verse number 10 says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." I think of verse number 29. It says, "Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all." Do you get the idea in this passage that it's talking about somebody that is very unique? I mean, not just an everyday person. This is somebody that is very unique, and we're going to look at that here this morning. Let's pray. Lord, we do thank you again that you've allowed us to gather together and to be able to open up your word, to be able to learn and grow from it. And Lord, I thank you for moms. I thank you for my mom and for my wife. And Lord, that you've put godly people in my life to show me what these things that we're looking at, what they look like. And Lord, I just praise you for that. Lord, I do pray now that you would work during this time, that you would help each one of us to examine the Scripture and see how it applies to us. And Lord, that you would do a work amongst your people here today. And Lord, we're going to be thankful for what you do. We ask all this in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. I am a mama's boy. And I am okay with that, and I'm actually kind of proud of that. And my mom will tell you the same thing. This morning I called my mom, and hopefully you've talked to your mom today if she's still with us. I talked to my mom this morning, and she said she wanted to hug me so much. She said, tell your wife to kiss your head and rub it. And so you know what I did? I did what my mama told me to. I went to my wife, and I said, my mom said you need to kiss my head and rub it. And she did, and it wasn't near as good as when my mom does it. So I'm a little bit of a mama's boy, and I'm okay with that, and it probably me being the last, the youngest had something to do with that. But I can look back at my mom, and I can see many tangible things about my mom, things that I saw, things that I was able to witness and even take advantage of or partake in, that my mom did, that you could see the things that she was doing. But then there's the intangibles. There's the intangibles that really set a godly woman, a godly mother, a godly wife apart from all others. And we do find that in this passage. If you go back, we won't read everything that's in the passage, but we read verse number 10. Verse number 11 tells us that her husband trusts in her, doesn't need to be, has no need of spoil. She's going to do him good. These are things that she's doing. She seeks the wool and the flax, and she works with her hands. In verse 13, she's like a merchant ship. I heard one preacher say she's like a merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar. And he said, I didn't realize that they had Walmart back then. But she goes and she finds the things that she needs to take care of her home. She rises early in the morning to take care and to do those things. She considereth the field, buys it. She takes care of the business that needs to. She girdeth her loins with strength and strengthen her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good, her candle goeth out by night. But as you read through this, you find things that she's doing, things that if you have a mother, or we can even say if you have a wife, you've witnessed these things, you see those things that a mother does. And I can look back at my mom and I can tell you so many stories, and my mom's probably going to listen to this, so I have to be careful what I say. No, I'm kidding. My mom's a little bit crazy, and she knows it, and it's okay. But I look back on some things about my mom that were very tangible things. Here's one instance for you. My mom was always home. And I love that my mom was always home. My mom worked outside of home for a time. She had to, and I totally understand that. My wife has had to do the same thing. But my mom, when she would work, she would make sure that when she was working was when we were not at home. And then every day when I got home, I still remember this, my mom was there. Every day when I got home, and I'm thankful for that. That's something that's tangible, though. That's something that I could see, and something that, thank the Lord, that I benefited from. In these verses that we read, verses 25 through 31, we find some things that are more intangible. The intangible things of a godly mother is what I find in this passage. You know that the greatest influencers on earth seem to be mothers. Think about the influence that my mom had in my life, and many of you probably can relate to that, how much of an influence that your mother had. When I was in high school, my mom was my best friend. I spent so much time with her and talking to her, and me and my mom loved to go shopping together. We would go shopping for shoes. Does that surprise you? That's where I got it from. But we would go shopping together, but when we were shopping, it wasn't really about all of the stuff we were getting. I mean, to a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, yeah, that had a lot to do with it. But I still look back and remember those conversations while we were shopping. The time that we spent together during those times, and I'm thankful for the influence that my mother has had on my life. But in the intangible category, I could say these things about my mom, but I want to take a look at the passage here and see what the Bible says. In verse number 25, first of all, it talks about her clothing. Now, not her clothing like what you would think, but it's talking about her clothing. It says, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. First of all, she is clothed with strength. She is strong in her protection. A mother is strong in her protection. You know, even in the animal kingdom, a mother is protective. She's strong in her protection. We had, years ago, I don't remember what kind of birds they are, but we had the birds that will nest in the grass. That's just a weird thing. And we had 3 acres, and I would be out mowing those 3 acres, and I would get anywhere near that nest. And here comes Mama Bird and Daddy Bird both. They would dive bomb me. And then all of a sudden, the Daddy Bird would go and stand over by the nest while the Mama Bird would continue to dive bomb me every time I got close. But there's so many different illustrations of that we can see. You know, you have to be careful when there's a bear around, especially if there's cubs. We know things like that. The protection that a mother provides. My mom was very protective. My mom is still protective. If any of you ever threatened me, my mom would be here very quick and she would take care of business. But my mom has always been very protective. I go back and I wish I could tell the story as good as my brother who's in heaven now tells the story. But there was a rooster that we had. We lived out in the country. We had chickens, we had hogs, we had a huge garden. We just loved living out in the country there. And we had this one rooster though, white rooster. I can still see that rooster in my mind. That rooster hated me. I have no idea what I ever did to it. I mean, I was pretty hungry. I might have done something, but it was just really a mean rooster. And any time I could be out in the yard, minding my own business, doing my own thing, and it would leave me alone. But as soon as I made eye contact with that thing, I mean, it would just come after me like I was threatening it. And at the time, I'm like 8, 9 years old. Like I'm really going to do anything. So this rooster, one day, finally just had enough of me and came up on me and started spurring me on the back. I'm so thankful that my mama was outside because my mom just grabbed the first thing that she could grab and started chasing that rooster all over our 3.5 acres that we had. She's chasing that thing, and we had corn, we have different things that were grown up. Now my mom's not that big. She's about all of maybe 5'2". She's not very big. But she's taking this stick, and the way my brother tells the story is as you look out over the field, all you see is a stick swing and then a chicken fly up in the air. That was this thing you kept saying, well, she didn't realize the first thing that she grabbed was actually a board that had a nail in the end of it. And she literally beat that rooster to death for the protection of a mother. I'm so thankful for the protection of a mother. That's something that's built in, I think, to a degree. But the strength of a mother's strength in her protection, but also, I believe, strength in her stand. If it isn't worth mom standing for, then the kids won't stand for it either. And so it's so important that a mother has a strong stand, has strong convictions that she will stand on. And just as protective as she is in that strength, she has the same kind of strength in the stand that she's going to take, and she's firm in that stand. Not only that, she's strong in her stand against her own children. Some of you understand what that means. Everybody that has more than one child understands you have that one child, right? I'm afraid I was probably that child. But with our kids, I remember so many times that my wife would just stand her ground. I mean, she would stand firm against the child, one of our kids. And it didn't matter how much they cried. It didn't matter what they said. She was standing firm because she understood, I am the parent here. You're not in control. It takes a good parent, it takes especially a good mother who might spend all day with a child to be able to stand all the time. We had one of those kids that could bat her eyes and get anything she wanted. You know what that's like? I'm sorry for a man, that's like kryptonite. I mean, I tell you what, raising a boy, I had no problem just saying no. But when it was girls, it was a whole lot different. They would look at you and bat their eyes, and it's like, you know what, whatever. But not mom. Mom would stand firm. Mom said no. Mom would be, the mother would be strong in her stand. But not only strength, but also honor. She's clothed with strength, but also honor. Excuse me. Dignity. She's dignified. She is, could I even say, ladylike. That's something that I think that we're missing in today's society. Proverbs talks about a woman that is loud, talks about a woman that is stubborn, talks about a woman that is full of contention. This is the opposite of that. A woman that has some dignity about here. In 1 Peter chapter 3, verse number 4, this woman, the woman that is mentioned there is described as having a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. It's a whole lot different than what our society teaches, is it not? Our society teaches us today that women need to just stand up, that they need to be equal with men, and they need to do all of these things. Well, you know what? I believe the value of a woman is equal with the man. I absolutely believe that. I believe that the soul of a woman is equal with the soul of a man. But I will tell you this, that the Bible tells us very plainly that God created man and woman different. And so a woman has no business acting like a man, being a man, woman, being boisterous the way that the Bible's talking about throughout the book of Proverbs, that you just got to be there, you've got to be in front of everybody, and you've got to be the one that makes all the noise, the loud woman that is mentioned there. But what I find is that a woman with a meek and quiet spirit is significant, is unique. That's something to stand on. Now, I know in homes that sometimes a woman isn't going to continue to be quiet. Amen? My kids, it was so funny. They would always say to my mom, my wife, she's kind of my mom too. They would say to my wife, "Mom, why are you yelling at us?" And my wife. We were married when we were 18. I was 18, so you got to understand. But they would say, "Why?" And she wasn't raising her voice. She really wasn't. It's just the way that they were perceiving it. But I know sometimes in the home that the mom needs to crack the whip, so to speak, and take care of business. We'll see that here in just a little bit. But you know, a mom can do it so much better than a man. That's for sure. Because I can be a disciplinarian, and I was a very strong disciplinarian. And there were times I was such a strong disciplinarian that I forgot the things that she always remembered. And she was so good about reminding me of those things. Never once in that context did my wife ever say, "You know, you're being a jerk to our kids." But she would say things like, "You know that handling it that way really isn't going to be helpful. You know what that meant to me? I'm being a jerk to my kids." But that's not what she was saying. She had the ability to say it in a way that helped me learn something. Helped me realize that I am doing something wrong. I need to stop and look at it a little different. I need to stop and think about it. But she has a dignity about her. Go back to Proverbs chapter 11. This is an interesting passage, and I want to make an application to this honoring, or this look of honor, of dignity. Proverbs 11, verse number 22. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. You know, I have this in my notes, and I'll just say the way it's in my notes. You may look good, but do you act right? With all of the presence of social media, women are so concerned about their look now because they have to put all these pictures of themselves and how gorgeous they are on social media and all of that, and they're obsessed with that. But you know what is of value is, are they godly? Are they spiritual? You know, I love my wife, and I do my best to tell her how beautiful she is to me constantly. How many times this morning did I don't know, a few times. Just to tell her that. And I enjoy telling her that. It makes her uncomfortable, but I still enjoy telling her because I want her to know. But you know what I love about her, and I could even say the same thing about my mom. It's not what you see. No. It's the honor in her life. It's the dignity that she carries herself with. And can I say this? Men ought to treat her like a queen. I mean, if she is clothed in strength and honor, as we find here, husbands, you ought to treat your wife like a queen. And especially if you still have kids at home, you ought to treat her like a queen even more so. One thing that I wanted my kids to know is that I am crazy about my mom. I am crazy about my mom. I am Father's boy. Sorry, Linda. I'll get this right. They knew that too. But I wanted them to know that I was crazy about their mom, about my wife. I wanted them to know that. I opened the car door for my wife, and car door for my wife. That's something that I did before we had kids. That's something we had while we had kids. And something that my son does for his wife now. He opens the door for his wife. Something that my son-in-law does for my daughter. He opens the car door for his wife, my daughter. And I love that. I think it's something that ought to be done. We ought to be treating, if we have a wife, if we have a mother who is clothed with strength and honor, then we ought to treat them like a queen. She rejoices in time to come, the verse says. As an investor who puts money into something, when the return comes, there is a rejoicing. It worked, it was successful. That's the idea here. She rejoices when the return comes, when the investment shows the fruit. She rejoices in what has happened. I need to move on. Verse number 26, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. First of all, her words are words of wisdom. Wisdom, first of all, wisdom helps. I mean, that's just biblical. Wisdom helps. Wisdom does not hurt. Now, it may hurt your little feelings, but it doesn't hurt. Wisdom helps. It's not slanderous. It's not gossiping. It's not idle words. It's not complaining words. It's words that will help. Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. That's the kind of speech that she has. She has words that are words of of wisdom that are going to give grace to those that hear. They're going to give grace not just inside their home, but even outside of their home. The words will be right. Wisdom also helps us to think clearly. Wisdom helps us to think clearly. I'm thankful that I have a wise wife because, as I've already mentioned, there were times that I reacted about something or to something, and I didn't do it in wisdom, and I had a very wise wife that could explain to me why I was wrong in the wisdom in a way that I would be able to receive why I was wrong and to be able to go and correct why it was wrong. But she's thinking clearly. I think of Manoah. Manoah, when the angel came and told them that they were going to have a son and that they were excited about this son, what did he do whenever the angel came and the angel left? The angel left and he said this. He said, oh no, we're going to die now because we've seen God. And what does his dear wife say? Seriously? Do you really think that God's going to give us a promise? Do you think God's going to come and do that and show us that, and then afterwards going to just kill us before God promised us something? And I can just picture him just saying, oh, yeah. Maybe you know what that's like, you know what I mean? But she's thinking clearly. But to think clearly, I think Noah's a good example of a man. To think clearly, she doesn't react emotionally. She doesn't react emotionally. You see, wisdom says that you can't react emotionally. That you have to think things through. You have to understand not just the logic of it, but the application of that logic. And that's what the wisdom is. Also, she is, because of that wisdom, a problem solver. If you've had or even been around little kids, you understand how important that is. Because there is nothing more important on earth to a 2-year-old than that toy that the other kid has. Right? And a mom has to step in with some wisdom to figure this out. Now, sometimes it may just be you just need to sit down and be quiet. But that wisdom, she has the ability to solve the problems on a daily basis. Kindness. Her speech is regulated by love. You see, that's the kindness there. To be kind, to be able to say things in a kind way. Go over to chapter 16 here in Proverbs. Verse number 24. Pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. When her speech is kindness, we could say that the words are pleasant, could we not? You know, as I said earlier, that my wife has the ability to confront me about things in a very loving, kind way. I don't always respond to it that way because what I hear is that I'm a jerk, right? sin, you know what I mean? But the way that she will say it is with kindness. And I watched my mom and I watched my wife both with my siblings and with my kids to be able to say things in a way that was kind. To be able to say with a firm hand, to be able to stand strong on something, but yet be able to communicate it with kind words. With kind words. Verse number 27, we see some of her activities. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. She looks well to her household. She knows what's going on. Everybody understands this. She has eyes in the back of her head. Did your mom ever say that? My mom said that all the time. You know I have eyes in the back of my head. There's a story that our family loves to tell, and this just tells you a little bit about my mom. She gets flustered and her words just get mixed up. And I could give you many illustrations of that. But we were going somewhere and we had a big van. I don't know why, there was only 5 of us, but we had a big van. And me and my best friend Keegan were sitting behind the driver's seat. And we were just acting up. You know, I was probably about 9, 10 years old, something like that. And we were just doing what 19-year-olds do, you know, punching each other, whatever it was. And she kept getting on to us and kept getting on to us. And so, you know, when your mom gets on to you, that all that really means to do is to do what you're doing, but quieter. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But that's what I was thinking. We should do this, but we should do it quieter. And so whatever it was we were doing, we kept doing. My mom had eyes in the back of her head. And she said this. She said, "Do you want me to beat your friend right in front of you?" Now what she meant to say. But I remember looking at her thinking, how did she know? She had eyes in the back of her head. She had eyes in the back of her head. She knew what was going on. She could see. You know, a mother is aware of the affairs of what's going on in her house. She may not confront the situation. She may not have to deal with it, but she's aware of it. She watches her children. She learns their behaviors. She learns to know what it looks like when they're hiding something. And I learned kind of the hard way that you don't always have to handle everything by punching it in the mouth. Sometimes you just need to know it and to be able to hold on to it for a little bit. And I learned that from my wife. But she would know all of the things that were going on. And we would have conversations, and she would tell me something, and I'm like, no. She's like, yeah, that's just the way that it is. And I just, okay. To be able to know the things that are going, she looked well to the ways of her household. She's doing things for them that are profitable. She sees all, and she's aware. She sees the things that are unseen. I don't know how, but she sees the things that are unseen. And she doesn't enjoy just being in a constant state of vegging. It says there that eateth not the bread of idleness. Again, this is something that we see a lot in this day and age. You know what? One of the worst things, one of the most convenient and helpful things that is to me is actually one of the worst things that's happened probably for our society, and that's cell phones. I love my cell phone. It helps me so much. I can talk to my phone and tell it to remind me about something, and it has a better memory than me. Because every time it's going to remind me about what I need to be reminded about. And I'm thankful for that. I have a church calendar, somebody can ask me something, and I can say, hold on just a second, let me look at the calendar, and I'm thankful for all of that. But I have seen this, that, and this applies to everybody, too many times that little gadget becomes controlling. It becomes an obsession, and we're sitting on it, and we look at all of the social media all the time. We have a spare moment, what are we doing? Well, we're going to get out our phone. You know, we got to start figuring out, you know, what everybody else is up to. We got to comment on something, and we got to take a selfie. We got to do all of these things that we've got to do, but they're all a distraction. But you know what a mother and a wife should be doing is put it down. You know what that is? That's idleness. That really is idleness. But to get away from those things and focus on the things that should be focused on. This woman that it's talking about here, this mother, this wife, she's not in a place where she is just vegging all the time. I understand we all need a break. Everybody needs a break. Listen, men, if you have small children at home, your wife needs a break. If she's at home with them all day long, give her a break. You know what? You know what's a retreat to her? Let her go grocery shopping without kids. Amen? I remember my wife still says that, but that was one of the greatest things for her, to be able to go shopping and me stay home with the kids. Of course, when she came home, who knows what happened. But she does need a break, but it's a lot of work. You know, when I became a parent 25 years ago, when I became a parent, one thing that I didn't realize, and because I was a kid, I didn't realize this is a full-time job. It's something that I didn't really even realize until probably in the last couple of years, is you don't ever quit. I'm still parenting my kids. And I love it. I enjoy it. It's totally different now. It's kind of like a part-time job now. And you don't listen to anything still. But to understand that for a mother, that's a constant thing. All day, every day. It demands attention. But look at her praise. Go through this kind of quickly. Her praise. Verse number 28. Her children will rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also at me praises her. Listen, I want to say this. This isn't saying she is teaching them to praise her. That's not what this is saying. They are praising her in reaction to who she is and what she does. They are praising her for that. Her family words are words of praise. You know what the greatest words of praise, and I'm kind of seeing this as my kids get older, you know what one of the greatest things of praise are? Imitation. Imitation. I watch our oldest daughter, who's in Tulsa, and they just bought a house, and she's doing all of the things that a wife does in a house. She's an expectant mom, and she's doing all of these things in the house, and there's so many things that she does, and I look at it and I say, that looks like the mom did. That looks just like her. She looks just like her. She does the same things that she does. That's quite a compliment, is it not? But I also think there's a place of vocal praise that is necessary, that is needed. It's a shame that too many homes, that the only day that we will say something, that we will be thankful for mom or for our wives, is on Mother's Day. You see, this isn't what this is talking about. This is talking about all the time. What does it say again there? It says that her children will rise up and call her blessed. They look for an opportunity to say, my mom is awesome. And then we look at it says about the husband, her husband also, and he praised her. This is something that every man in here could probably use some work on. Be praising him. Men get together, and you know what men can do? I'm going to tattle on every one of you. You know what men can do when they get together? They can say some of the snarkiest things about their wives. Try not to look at anybody when I say that. I looked right at Brother Jeff when I said that. Just say some of the snarkiest, just honoriest things. But instead, what are you saying? My wife is awesome. Now, I could do this morning. And I would go on and on and on and tell you about my wife, and tell you how great of a cook my wife is, how great of a carer my wife is, how great of a homemaker my wife is. And I could spend a lot of time telling you about it, and I do try to publicly even say some things about my wife and how valuable she is to me. But we ought to be doing that all the time. We ought to, not just on Mother's Day, kids, we ought to not just on Mother's Day, we ought to thank our mothers for what they do throughout the whole year. I made it a practice to try and teach my kids after every meal. I would get up and I would either go rinse my dish or whatever I needed to do, and then I would come back to the table and I would kiss my wife on the cheek. And I love kissing my wife on the cheek. I would kiss my wife on the cheek and I would say thank you. Now that was partly because I was very grateful because she's an awesome cook. But it was also, I wanted my kids to see that gratitude. And I wanted them to copy that gratitude and to be grateful for the things that she does. To praise her. Verse 29. I love verse 29. You read it earlier. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Mom, you're the best. I mean, there's no mom like you. Dick, you are the best moms in the world. I tell my wife all the time, she's the best wife I've ever had. But to say she's just the best. That's what the verse is saying here. I mean, there's some great women in the world, but you're the best. I tell my wife all the time, there's nobody that I would rather be doing what I'm doing right now with than you. We went to eat one time at Pizza Ranch. Beware. We went to Pizza Ranch, and you know what happens when you eat at Pizza Ranch? You get disgusting. That's what I call it. You just feel it. And we had to go get groceries after that. Not sure why we planned it that way. But we're walking into the grocery store. I said, you know, there is nobody on earth that I would rather feel disgusting with. She's the best. And there's some great women. There's some great godly women. And I'm thankful that I've seen some great godly women in my life and seen God use some great godly women. But my wife's the best. That's what that verse is saying right there. You're the best. I need to hurry. Verse number 30. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain. We kind of covered that to a degree. It's not about the way that your appearance is. But what does it say? But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. We talk about an intangible right there. But this is an intangible that everybody is going to see. A woman that will fear the Lord, it will be known that she fears the Lord. Not because she's going around telling everybody that I fear the Lord, but you're going to see it in her life that she fears the Lord. And what happens in that? Well, people will recognize it, and there's the praise. There's the praise that it's mentioned right there. It gives the idea that everybody can see her walk with God. Women, I want to ask you that. Do you believe that other people see your love for the Lord, your walk with God, your fear of the Lord? Do others see that? Her works then will praise her. Verse number 31. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. How do they know about her works? Well, they obviously see her fruit. But also, I think it's interesting, it says that her own works will praise her in the gates. You understand that the gates are the place where the leadership would meet. Go back to verse number 23, though. Her husband is known in the gates. He sitteth among the elders of the land. Are you seeing the tie between those two verses, men? Are you seeing that? How in the world does everybody in the gates know about her and about her works? Because her husband has nothing but good to say about her. Can tell all of the great things that she does. In all of that, she isn't praising herself. She is praising God. A godly woman isn't looking for praise. She just wants to fear the Lord. She lets her works praise her. She lets the things that happen, the result, the return, as we were saying earlier, the return on the investment, that's what's going to praise her, and that's what she's looking at. With your heads bowed and your eyes closed, I just want to ask moms, how are your intangibles, mothers? How are your intangibles that we looked at? Are you a Proverbs 31 woman? Children, husbands, are you singing her praises for who she is? Are you singing her praises? It doesn't matter what anybody else sees in her. What do you see in her? And do you just thank her on Mother's Day when you're reminded, oh yeah, we're supposed to praise Mom today? Or is it a practice in your life to be thankful and to praise God for a woman who not only has the tangibles, but also the intangibles, the godliness, those things that we will see the fruit of in life? Lord, I pray now that you would use this invitation as you need to, that you would work with your people. We ask in Christ's name.